I'm just a player in the game.
So after months and months of Elizabeth Warren calling out other candidates for having a super PAC, Elizabeth Warren now has a super PAC. And before I get into this story, super PACs operate separately from campaigns. At least they're supposed to. I'm going to get to something in this story where there's definitely something weird going on here. But the most a candidate can do is say they disavow the super PAC and they don't want that super PAC existing, whatever. But they can't actually shut down the super PAC themselves because it operates separately from the campaign. But with that said, she has not disavowed the super PAC. So I'm going to show you in a minute what her response to the super PAC is. Before I get there, let me show you what she used to say. So this is a tweet from Stedman here saying Team Warren sent this email out 8 days ago. I guess 9 days ago now. Warren for president. There's only one way Elizabeth is raising money for this campaign. She isn't holding fancy fundraisers where you can go get in by writing a big check. She isn't accepting money from lobbyists or executives at big banks, fossil fuel companies, or big tech companies. And unlike almost everyone else in this race, she isn't accepting help from outside super PACs. Oh, really? Now, again, before I get into her response here, there's a long history of this. Here's a short clip of her talking about it.
Everyone on this stage except Amy and me is either a billionaire or is receiving help from PACs that can do unlimited spending. So if you really want to live where you say, then put your money where your mouth is.
All right. And Walker Bregman really goes into, over and over again, Elizabeth Warren has talked about rejecting super PACs, why it's so bad to have a super PAC. Like there's a lot there. But I want to show you this clip. This is her recently now reversing that position.
First day I got in this campaign, I said to anybody who runs for president, let's do this without super PACs. Let's all agree, before they've gotten into it, before people have invested money in this, let's all just agree. We will all say no super PACs. Nobody took me up on it. So I tried again, and I tried again, and I tried again. And what was the answer over and over and over? Not a single other candidate would agree with me. So I haven't changed my position. Look, if the other candidates would all say, you're right, let's do the primary from this point forward without super PACs, I'll lead the charge. Let's do it. Let's all disavow super PACs. Let's make this about the money that goes through our campaigns. That's what I'd like to do. And that's what I'll keep fighting for.
So on your website, and I know you're saying this is a matter of practicality, but on your website, it does say Elizabeth rejects the help of super PACs and would disavow any super PAC formed to support her in the Democratic primary. Yeah. You're saying that's changed. You're reversing that?
I am not. What I'm saying is, come on, Democrats, all of us should disavow super PACs. And I should add to this, this is also about the billionaire in the race, or the billionaires in the race. And that is, they have the equivalent of a super PAC. It's known as their sock drawer. They reach in, kind of pull out $100 million and drop it on the campaign. So it really should be all of it. Either we're going to run campaigns that have unlimited spending, or we're going to have campaigns where the money goes through the campaign, in which case everybody plays by the same set of limits. I think we all ought to be running campaigns where all the money comes through the campaign and everybody plays by the same limits and the same disclosures. That's what I believe. I still believe it. I believe it the first day I got in this race, and I believe it today. And I hope every other Democrat, I'll call for it again, will join me, and let's all agree to get rid of the super PAC.
Because they can't. Because they haven't. It has made it impossible for you to do it.
They can. All of us can do this. Come on, Democrats, where are you on this?
Okay. So first, let me give her some credit. The sock drawer comment was hilarious. They reach into their sock drawer and pull out $100 million. That's pretty funny. But she's lying here. Like, the whole point was that she was leading, in her words, leading the charge, disavowing super PACs, and she was going to show that you can run a campaign without a super PAC. And now she's saying she didn't change her position, when clearly she did, because she's not disavowing the super PAC that's helping her. Like, how do you say you didn't change your position when clearly you did? And Tommy Christopher here also recognizes that. I think his name's Tommy Christopher, but whatever his name is, also recognizes that as well. And Warren makes it sound like here, oh, all the other Democrats have super PACs. Bernie Sanders doesn't really have a super PAC. He doesn't have a big money super PAC. So there's a group that supports him. It's in here somewhere, but it's the National Nurses United. So they raise money from their members, and I guess they are registered as a super PAC, but they don't take any big donor outside money. So it's not like a super PAC like this is not the same as the way Elizabeth Warren right now has her super PAC, which, as I'm going to show you, had $1 million out of nowhere. Like, these super PACs don't have all that much money. Reported spending of roughly $70,000 in late 2019. Warren's super PAC, as I'm going to show you again, $1 million in a day. But Sunrise Movement apparently also counts as a super PAC, which I didn't even realize. Or it may just be a PAC. But again, we're talking about, people that are giving money directly, small donors giving money to these PACs. So, like, when you actually dig into the details, there is a massive difference between what a super PAC counts as when it comes to, like, Pete Buttigieg and where he's getting his money from, or Joe Biden or Elizabeth Warren now, and where Bernie has his support from. But this. So Alex Koch tweets out here. This is Warren's PAC. Persist PAC, the very new super PAC backing Warren, has just reported spending $983,000 on ads in Nevada. And as he goes on to say here, folks, this PAC was founded 2 days ago. It's already spent $1 million for the candidate who bragged at the New Hampshire debate that no super PACs were backing her. $1 million in 2 days is pretty nuts. As I showed you earlier, the National Nurses United, which apparently counts as a super PAC, they spent $70,000 in 2019. And here's $1 million in 2 days. And this goes a little deeper. Wow, possible reason why Warren flip-flopped on the super PAC support. She had only $2.2 million left after January. Only $2.2 million left after January, plus $400,000 of debt loaned by Amalgamated Bank. By comparison, Sanders had $16.8 million in the bank. So basically, Elizabeth Warren needed the super PAC for her campaign to survive because they were pulling ads out of Nevada. As I'm going to show you, I think someone else makes this point. No, not yet. But so the Warren campaign was pulling money out of Nevada in ads. And while that was happening, this PAC that she now has was pouring money into ads for Elizabeth Warren. So even though super PACs are not supposed to be coordinating with campaigns, it sure as hell looked like this PAC was coordinating with Elizabeth Warren, because as they were polling their ads, this PAC was spending money on ads for her. Now, Mehdi Hassan makes a comment here. Disappointed to hear Elizabeth Warren, whom I'm a long-standing admirer of, say she'll lead the charge on rejecting super PAC money only if all other Democratic candidates agree first. How is that leading then? Isn't that, by definition, following? Nailed it. And, this just speaks to Elizabeth Warren and really what she's about. So I've been a huge supporter of Warren in the past. I thought before Bernie announced in 2015, for 2016, I thought Elizabeth Warren should have run against Hillary Clinton. A lot of us did. I think most of Bernie's base thought at the time Warren should have run before Bernie had announced. She didn't want to run against Hillary Clinton. And so then Bernie got in. And now, since then, and since she didn't endorse Sanders during the primary when he was really in a tight battle with Hillary Clinton, again and again, Elizabeth Warren is sort of showing her hand and showing what she's really about. And for me, this is incredibly revealing. So this was after the debate in Nevada. This is Lawrence O'Donnell discussing what happened during the commercial break after Elizabeth Warren decimated Mayor Bloomberg.
Most fascinating thing that happened on the stage, our viewers at MSNBC got to see during a commercial break in a box on the screen, and that was after Elizabeth Warren just flattened Mike Bloomberg a number of times. Mike Bloomberg and Elizabeth Warren spent the entire commercial break in very cordial conversation with each other that was real. They weren't doing that stiff thing of turning away from each other. They were exchanging ideas. If there's audio of anything, that would be really fascinating to hear. And I'm sure they will give us their version of what that conversation was, because it had absolutely nothing to do with everything else you saw on TV during the actual debate.
I'm just a player in the game.
So I added that last piece. That was from an interview with Amy Goodman that Elizabeth Warren was in, where she just said, I'm just a player in the game. And judging by what Lawrence is saying here, she is just indeed a player in the game. And really, even apart from what Elizabeth Warren did apparently during the commercial break, have a nice, great conversation, positive conversation with Michael Bloomberg, Lawrence is, like, the way he's telling this story is very different than the way that I would tell it. If I'm discussing this, I would be saying, does she actually care about fighting people in power? Does she actually care about taking down a billionaire if she's having a friendly conversation with him during the commercial break and then putting on a performance while the debate's live? Like, those are the questions that I have. But here, Lawrence, who worked for the West Wing, I think he was a writer on the West Wing, like, he looks at politics like it's all just, like it's a game. Like, it's all just actors. Oh, wasn't it cool to see Elizabeth Warren really hit Bloomberg? And then she was very kind to him during the commercial break. Oh, it's so interesting. You're exposing how phony she's being. Like, how is that not the story here? But they look at it in through a completely different lens. And I just don't get it. But she's showing her hand, like she's showing who she is by taking on a super PAC after claiming that she would swear off them. I mean, I don't know how you can trust her to actually fight people in positions of power when she capitulates like this.